And we're back on the collision where sports and politics collide. And we have with us, I have so much respect for her and the work that she does, for the culture, for the Caribbean, everything that's going on right now in Jamaica. And this is the thing. A lot of people here in the States don't really know exactly how bad it is in Jamaica since the hurricane. They reported that the hurricane happened. They reported that a lot of different reggae artists were lending their voices, and so a lot of people are thinking, okay, well, they're all right. And it's like, no, they're not all right. They need a lot of help. So, Miss Dera, thank you. Welcome to the show. You're not a stranger to WPFW, and just talk to us. Talk to us about what many people here in the States do not know.
Well, I happened to be on the reggae cruise actually when Melissa hit Jamaica, and it was quite. It really kind of affected the whole cruise environment. It was our 10th anniversary, but no one could really feel 100%, happy because we were all, not knowing what was going to happen in Jamaica. Jamaica has had other horrible hurricanes. I remember back in, I think, 89, Hurricane Gilbert hit. And Jamaica is a very rural, we know about Kingston, we know about the North Coast and the tourist areas, but Jamaica is a very rural country. A lot of people build their own homes. The homes are not sturdy, stable. What happened, the most devastating thing are the roofs. People do not have roofs over their heads. The roads were devastated. And I have, we weren't able to go to Jamaica for the cruise. We were redirected to Montego Bay, so I haven't been there, but I've spoken to friends on the ground. Now, the devastation is concentrated on the western part of the island. Kingston and the eastern part were hit, but not as severely. They were able to get electricity and lights, electricity and water within a few days, and things are kind of stabilized. But imagine these rural areas, these mountainous areas where people live miles from each other. The roads have been washed out. All of the shopping areas and stores have been devastated. You can definitely go online and view the devastation. It has been described as heartbreaking, gut-wrenching. I spoke to Muta Baruka last week, who went from Kingston to St. Elizabeth. You've heard that there's been great devastation in St. Elizabeth. It's called the breadbasket of Jamaica. It's where a lot of the agricultural work is done. I am a regular visitor to Treasure Beach, which is a fishing village. It has been devastated. They still do not have water, electricity, and I don't know if you can imagine. I mean, we've seen this type of devastation here, Katrina, and in North Carolina and other places recently, and the fires. So we know these things are horrible, but in many cases, there's an infrastructure here that is stabilized that people can get to and work, and just imagine where there's no help. But the help has been amazing. Countries, individuals, people, everybody is contributing, sending planes in. As you mentioned, a lot of the prominent artists have been upfront center. Buju, Jose Andreas, again, was maybe one of the first outside agencies to get there. But other countries, other Caribbean countries are there. But Muta said, what Muta told me is it's going to take 5 years. So this is a long fight. It's now, and it's going to be for a sustained amount of time to get things back in place and stabilized. There have been over 45 deaths in Jamaica. And I also want to mention that there also was devastation to Haiti and Cuba. You don't hear about that on the news, and I do not know the details. But, use your internet and look things up. And there are many, many ways to contribute locally, internationally, globally. You have to be careful. There are scammers. There are people who will, at times like this, take advantage of folks' sympathy and set up false things. Check your resources, check the agencies you think of giving to. There's, UN agencies, there's global, there's non-profit agencies everywhere here. There's been lots of efforts here, a lot of drop-off points. Of course, the Embassy of Jamaica is here, so they have organized relief processes, money, goods, etc. I also want to mention Susie Russell and her team, which includes Sarge from Image Band. They have had two highly successful fundraising events, one in DC, one in Baltimore. In the past 2 weeks, they're actively collecting product and sending everything down to Jamaica with great enthusiasm. So this is not just a Caribbean community response, but a DC, DMV response to the crisis in Jamaica. So there are many ways to help and support. I'm sure that relief efforts will be ongoing for quite a long time. And I want to thank everybody who has contributed or even considered, any amount you can give is helping someone in Jamaica. I keep thinking of the song by the Mighty Diamonds, I Need a Roof Over My Head. That's where people
Yeah.
are, and that's the reality. People do not have a roof.
Let me say this. I had a terrible experience many years ago when Hurricane Ivan hit Grenada. And I did
Mm,
all of this fundraising, and I did it through, and I went through UNICEF, and then with Red Cross. And if there was social media back then, I would have been on social media like Buju, upset because
mm,
it didn't go to where I want. They diverted the funds. So while this happened in Grenada, and we raised all this money, we did all this thing, and then there was another typhoon that hit someplace else, and so they diverted the funds to where they felt was the bigger need. And I was like, well, wait a minute, that's not what I raised the money for. Like, how could you just
mm.
divert the funds? Like, but that's what it's in the fine print. They could do it into their discretion. Kevin, you posted a while ago some reputable places that people can donate to, and I looked at those, and I thought about it when I saw Buju upset, that whatever, however it happened with him. And I've heard of different scammers that you mentioned, Miss Dara. And how can people safely and confidently support Jamaica? You know what I mean?
Well,
How do you do it that way?
well, I mean, first of all, just thank you, Mr. Dara, for all that you're doing. God and the ancestors bless you. Um, I have been to Jamaica many, 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 many times, and definitely have been supporting here. And you touched my heart because that is the common thread with the folks who have had cell service. I need a roof. I need a roof. I need a roof. I've been all over the country like you have, and and the Caribbean is our people. Africa is our people. We need to take care of our people. Period. And something that you were you're talking about, Brother Tom, it's called disaster capitalism. It's intentional, you know what I mean? But let me go back a step. It's very important for our people, no matter what our level of awareness is now. We need to be aware of what has happened to the global environment and how these hurricanes are worse than ever. These disasters are worse than ever. That's the reality. The second thing we have to be aware of, things like the Red Cross are scams. The Red Cross is a scam. The Red Cross is a scam. How do I know? Because I've done relief work over the last 20 years around Hurricane Katrina. I spent a year back and forth the Gulf Coast. I did relief work around Haiti, around Puerto Rico, around the U.S. Virgin Islands. And so we need to definitely, we, part of this system has had us be disconnected for each other. For everyone that's like us three on this call, many of us are not connected to our people down south or in the West Indies or Africa. We need to know who the legit local leaders are ahead of a disaster happening. We need to know what the legit organizations are ahead of the disasters happening. When Sister Adara mentioned, here's where the work happens in Jamaica, it's because she knows, because she's been there. And what they bank on is all the confusion. And the natural thing is for us to want to give, which is why I immediately put the list out on social media. My people can follow me anywhere on any social media platform. Poet Kevin Powell, Poet Kevin Powell. There's a list here. Here's the reputable organizations on the ground in Jamaica that people can support, because otherwise your money will get diverted. And what we found with the Red Cross, and this has been documented in the New York Times, that money oftentimes goes to pad the pockets of executives making millions of dollars while people are suffering in these countries, usually countries of color, all around the country, around the world, that have been the victims of centuries of colonialism and enslavement, et cetera, and neocolonialism. And so we need to
Exactly.
call it what it is. You know what I mean? And I think what is happening in America with Black people, and what's happening in places like Haiti, and I'm so glad you said Cuba and Haiti as well as Jamaica, Mr. Dara, is that Black folks have got to do for themselves. And so as I've been talking to folks via WhatsApp, et cetera, in Jamaica, yep, we're trying to get money down there, and people need houses, and the government's trying to figure out how to assess things because they're going around the country as much as they can to assess what the damages are in different places. And you're right, certain parts were hit worse than others, particularly the western part of Jamaica, Mr. Dara. But I think Black folks, we've got to come together. One of the things that I think about, this is the last thing I'll say, when Katrina happened, this is 20 years ago, I was on a call with about 100 Black folks from all over, like all over, like all over. And we kept saying, well, why don't we have our own relief agency in place so when something happens in Black America or the West Indies or Africa, we're ready. And no one bothered to follow up on that. And I think about that now that we have no choice in the spirit of Marcus Garvey. In the spirit of Marcus Garvey, we've got to do this for ourselves. Otherwise, we'll constantly be in crisis mode no matter where it is. And I think that's something that we've got to think about because this global warming piece is real. So we're going to have stuff hitting us in North Carolina and Jamaica and Grenada again and different islands and whatnot. But are we going to be prepared for it? That's going to really come from us saying we got to do something proactively to make sure there's something in place for our people that's legit. When something happens, we can take care of our people.
No,
100.
it's very, very important, and we don't have it, and we need to work on that. And that is part of African unity, and perhaps we're realizing that more than ever these
Yes.
days. And Kevin, I hope you remember me. I'm Paula Witz Arndt. I know you
I
from
know
way
who you,
back.
I
Okay,
know who you are.
I haven't
This
seen you
this
since
this
then.
was
Okay, so,
amazing.
yeah,
This
I'm very happy to be on the mic with you.
No, and Brother Tom, this sister Dara is one of the folks who has understood, as long as I've known her, we got to connect the dots between us and the diaspora as Black people. This separation of us, you from the South, you from the West Indies, no, we are all connected. That's Sister Dara. I need to give you your props and your flowers. Thank you for who
Thank you.
you are.
But one thing I want to say, Kevin, I think we do have to give people a little bit of credit because over
Yes.
the past 20 years, that those definitions between us and that tribalism has evaporated. As we've traveled, as we've met people. When I first went to Jamaica in 77, Black people would say, well, what are you going there
Wow.
for? And now we know Africa better. We know we've been home. We've
That's
been
right.
to the Caribbean. The unity the framework is there and we are building it because we don't see different. When I first came in DC, when I first became part of the Caribbean community, and I forced myself in the Caribbean community because I needed a country, there was a war between Trinidad and Jamaica, and on the radio on WPFW, the Trinidadian hosts didn't want to play reggae, and vice versa. They didn't want to play soca. Now we see one Caribbean, we see one world. When we see the Olympics and certain things, we are rooting for every Black person. So I think there's more consciousness now. It is, we don't have the banner. Some people are waving that banner, but it's out there. We're more aware of ourselves and the continent of Africa and the whole Caribbean community as well, and the whole diaspora. So it's growing, and I think people are responding. People do have to be careful. You have to go on the internet. You have to ask. I did a fundraising event for Hurricane Gilbert here, and that's when I found out you really have to know where your money is going. We chose a hospital, and we gave
Mm,
our money to that hospital. So you just have to do a little homework. Ask your friends from Jamaica. There are local efforts that are filling barrels and sending things down. So do your homework. And again, I would, kind of caution against, like you mentioned, Red Cross and those type of agencies, but other people you see on social media on the ground doing things. I have one friend, the daughter of Neville Garrett, who was Bob's artist.
mm,
His daughter is collecting feminine products for
mm.
women. All types of, this is a horrible time. People don't have running water. So she's collecting wipes and sanitary napkins and all of Tylenol and all the things women need so they can go through this period in dignity. Like that to me is a worthy cause. I gave to that cause because I felt that and I understood that. So you have to do your homework, do your research, but there are many ways to help. There will be many, I think, probably fundraising events for quite some time. There are telethons
Yes,
that are happening. Shaggy, Sean Paul. I don't want to. Maxi Priest is just did an event in London. I mean, there is a global
that's right.
um, response. I don't want to. It's but a Black response. But there's white response. All kinds of countries, all types of countries, European, otherwise, have sent folks put feet on the ground in Jamaica. So this is inspired. It takes all of us, but we need to be front and center to support our people. This is the worst hurricane ever in Jamaica,
That's
category
right.
5. That's never
That's right.
happened. And so this is a sign of things to come. So, and again, we don't even know what happened in Cuba and Haiti. I do not know the details and the devastation and how you support that as well. But it's a struggle. It has to make us think of what else we have to do to be organized, to be ready to follow in the footsteps of Marcus Garvey and take care of our own.
Yeah.
Brother,
And I'm
can I
sorry.
ask if you could look up your posts where you listed someone? I want to be able to say them to people right now. And while you're saying this, let me say this real quick. You talked about the togetherness and how we have to come together as people. And there's this faction that has been bothering me for a very long time, and it's the ADOS crowd, the crowd that not.
Right.
I mean, and they're like, oh well, and there's this word they keep using because I can't even. But anytime there's somebody from the Caribbean, they use a tether. That's what they keep saying. Oh, well, they're a tether. And I was like, what is that? That sounds like something else that, like, are you a government plant trying to further divide us? And I mean, we're from the Caribbean. You're from that. You think that means that we're not going to be treated the same way here in this country because we're from different, like, and it's such a, I just started hearing it a lot during these last elections. You heard about Kamala Harris. Oh, she's not ADOS. She's not this. Her family's from Jamaica. I was like, well, you know that she's still black, right? Like that whole dynamic, and you had that discussion. We are all, when we step out, we are black, no matter where we are from, and that should be the common thread that has us all support each other. Whether you're from Haiti, whether you're from South Carolina, whether you're from Africa, whether you're from Jamaica, whether you're from Grenada, we are all black people. And that really bothers me, right? I'm not going to spend too much time on that. I just want to throw that out there. But Brother Powell, let us know the reputable places, some of them that you saw for people to be able to donate to and to be a part of.
Wow. Well, I want to shout out my brother Kwame Dawes, who's actually currently the poet laureate for Jamaica. Brother Dawes, sister Dera, and
Yes,
so
sir.
he talked about definitely supporting the Breads Foundation down at BREDS Breads Foundation. People can Google it, and I recommend them. Certainly recommend. I'm looking at my Instagram post right now. Food for the Poor Jamaica has come up a lot, and I've vetted them as well. So I want to shout out those two. And into this, in the spirit of what y'all just said, Sister Dare, you're absolutely right. Because I remember a time when Black folks would frown on folks with dreadlocks, natural hair. I remember when Black folks would
Yep.
diss folks. We would go. I remember when African Americans and West Indians were fighting each other in New York City. Man, you got Black folks in New York City who are African American and Jamaican, African American Grenadian, African American Puerto Rican. I mean, we are overlapping in so many different ways. My family's from South Carolina, and one of the things that I realized, and that as I was doing my deep dive about my family history, man, there was so much back and forth during our enslavement between the Carolinas and the West Indies. And so it's absolutely definitely divide and conquer, Brother Thomas, is intentional. And we should be suspicious of any organization or any so-called leaders, manufactured leadership, Dr. King called it, that would actually pit people against each other. There's no hip hop without African Americans and West Indians and Latinx folks together creating hip hop, the dominant youth culture on the planet for over 50 years at this point. And so is anyone who talks opposite of that, we can't support that because that's opposite of Marcus Garvey. That's opposite of Malcolm X was Grenadian and
Yes.
African American. His father
Yes.
was from Georgia. His mother's from Grenada. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Yo. So we
Let's
need
also
and
mention, reggae from Jamaica and certain artists who
exactly.
have pushed roots and consciousness have pushed the concept of our unity. And this is, I refer to myself as an African born in America because sometimes the
That's
term
right.
black gets a little confused. We are blacks who have been Africans who have been scattered all over the world. And when I go to Brazil, as much as I go to Jamaica, I've kind of grounded there. It's the same. It's you. It's your people. They're
It
not
is
distant
you.
relatives. This is you. This is who you are. You go there to find yourself. And, our problems, our heritage, our culture, our
That's
stories,
right.
our history is the same. And I think we are realizing this more and more. We are breaking those barriers. Those are the barriers of colonialism, and there's the barrier of colorism and all those things. We are
That's right.
breaking down those walls. And it isn't always celebrated, but we are coming together. People are moving home. People move to the Caribbean
That's
and
right.
become part of that culture. Again, I've adopted myself to Jamaica. You can't tell me I'm not Jamaican. Okay, wasn't born there, but I feel the spirit of the Jamaican people through Garvey, through the Rasta movement, through the Pan-African consciousness. It became a beautiful home for me. And I've traveled all over Jamaica. I used to live in the hills in Potosi with Nita and his
Hmm.
family. And I
Hmm.
just, I just, it's so beautiful to go to a country that is Black.
Yeah,
We don't have that here.
yeah.
That's
We
right.
don't have
And
that
that's
here. Go ahead.
and I feel the same way because like as you're talking, I'm an 18-year-old college student. I didn't know anything about anything Black, nothing. My two best friends were Trinidadian and Barbadian. So I started to learn. Muta Baruch I studied, Still Pulse I studied, Bob Marley I studied. That was
Mhm.
part of my education in addition to the Last Poets or,
Sure,
stuff from America. And it's
sure.
all together. And like,
Mhm.
Sister Dara, thank you is all I gotta say. Thank you and thank you
100%.
Everyone.
and thank you. Yeah.
100%, 100%. And let me say, I feel the same way. My grandmother was born in Grenada, but you can't tell me
Mm,
that. I mean, my kids, my daughter Imani, I'm so proud of her. She's head of the Caribbean Association at her high
that's
school.
right.
She's the
That's
president.
right.
You know what I mean?
That's
Because
right.
the
That's
roots that
good.
are inside of her. And all right, don't get me started. All right, so let me get me go emotional. I'm on camera. All right, so one more organization I want to shout out is called Light Her Way JA. Light Her Way JA.
Mm,
And they're doing these solar backpacks because, as you mentioned, a lot of people on the west side that don't have electricity and don't have anything still now, and these solar backpacks that are helping them out. So there's a lot of people who are doing great stuff. We ran out of time, but I just want to say much respect to both of you for all the work that you're doing. Brother Powell, the documentary looks amazing, and I really mean that. I want to set up something here with you in the DMV when it's time to do that. And Ms. Dera, you know how I feel about you. Much respect to you, and let's combine and keep on connecting with these different organizations where we can